Making headlines this hour, Minister of Foreign Affairs Dr. Mohammad Asim says that being a small state does not prevent the Maldives from promoting the values and principles that underpin the international human rights mechanisms. Fisheries Minister Dr. Mohammad Shiny meets and holds discussions with his South African counterpart, Senzeni Zokwana. And the Kingdom's envoy to Indonesia says that a pact to combat terrorism will be the centerpiece of up to 10 agreements that will be signed when Saudi Arabia's king this week visits Indonesia. Good evening and welcome to Nightly News on Television Maldives with me, Fatma Sara. Minister of Foreign Affairs Dr. Mohammad Asim says that being a small state does not prevent the Maldives from promoting the values and principles that underpin the international human rights mechanism. Addressing the Human Rights Council for the first time at the high-level segment of the 34th session of the Human Rights Council, Minister Asim outlined some of the major achievements Maldives had made in terms of gender, health, education and economic development. Minister Asim also noted how the partnership with the UN has helped Maldives consolidate democracy and strengthening human rights, and reiterated our commitment to work closely with the UN.
The approach that the Maldives has taken in protecting human rights is through the empowerment of its people, creating opportunities, helping the people to help themselves, and also to lead dignified lives. It was this belief that helped to propel the Maldives to reach a new paradigm of development, human development, that places the rights of the individual at the center of development.
Minister Asim also informed the Council of the continued commitment and efforts of President Abdul Yamin Abdul Qayyum to promote human rights through human development. Minister Asim stated that we need to cultivate and promote a culture of respect and a culture of tolerance more than ever before. He reiterated Maldives' confidence in UN human rights mechanisms and Maldives' commitment to the work of the UN Human Rights Council. Maldives has been a member of the Human Rights Council for 2 consecutive terms in 2011 and 13 and 2014 and 16, and currently on a 1-year mandatory break. Maldives has put forth its candidature for the Human Rights Council for the term of 2018 to 2020. Fisheries Minister Dr. Mohammad Shiny holds discussions with his South African counterpart Senzeni Zokwana. The meeting was held this morning at the Fisheries Ministry of South Africa in Cape Town. Dr. Shiny's visit to South Africa is aimed at marketing Maldivian fish products. Speaking to PSM News about his meeting with the South African minister, Dr. Shiny said that his counterpart had assured to work with Maldives to further strengthen the fisheries sector. He added that he also invited South African Fisheries Minister to attend an industry meeting, which is scheduled to be held in April this year. He said the South African minister had accepted his invitation. The meeting was attended by International Pole and Line Foundation Chairman John Burton. During his visit, Fisheries Minister Shiny will hold discussions with South African businesses to seek a market for canned tuna products from the Maldives. The trip is part of the government's efforts to introduce local fish products to new markets across the globe. The ministry says that the biggest supermarket chain in South Africa, Woolworths, will begin selling canned tuna from Maldives during the minister's visit to the country. Ambassador of India to Maldives Akhilesh Mishra officially inaugurates the project to construct flats in land plots of Nadi and Odeon in Male City. Senior officials from Maldives Association for Construction Industry (MACL) and Tata Housing Development Company participated in separate functions held this morning to inaugurate the 2 housing projects. Speaking in the function, the Indian ambassador said that the flats would be of high standard and called on the developers to give a high priority in maintaining the standards.
Last 1 year that I have been here, I have seen and experienced that the construction players of Maldives have come up long way. They have developed great professionalism, and also the quality of construction is very high. Please do not take it lightly. Maldivian people have great, huge expectation from Tata Housing. I sincerely pray that you come up to their expectations and stand out as a very visible symbol of India-Maldives friendship.
President of MASI, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, highlighted that the Maldivian construction industry would reap the benefits by working closely with the Tata Housing Development Company in the project. He further said that the Construction Association aims to work with Tata Housing Development Company in further projects in the Maldives. 54 flats will be constructed in the Odeon land plot, while 72 flats will be constructed in the Nadi land plot. According to Tata Housing Development Company, the flats will be developed as luxury housing units. The Maldivian government says that it will not falter in the efforts to bring development to the country. In an official press release, the spokesperson at the President's Office, Ibrahim Muaz Ali, accused the opposition of working to obstruct the government's developmental efforts, citing that nothing will stop the government from achieving its ambitions of developing the nation. Muaz said that government's development efforts will be conducted according to the plans and prudently to ensure it does not cause the citizens any problems. In his statement, the spokesperson said that the opposition is working to hinder proposed development projects in the atolls as reprisal for the government's earlier intervention of the opposition's efforts to tarnish the country's reputation and boycott tourism. Pakistan's National School of Public Policy agrees to provide assistance to Maldives Civil Service Commission. The school made the arrangements during a meeting held today with the Maldives Civil Service Commission's delegation visiting Pakistan. During the meeting, discussions were also held with school about providing training and experience to the local civil servants. The Commission said that the government of Pakistan applauded the arrangements made with the public policy school and that it assured all necessary paperwork would be processed to begin the training of local civil servants in Pakistan. The Commissioner of Police, Ahmad Arif, says a police force should be capable of preventing crime by determining the motives behind such activities. The Commissioner made the remarks while speaking at the graduation ceremony of individuals who completed different courses conducted by Maldives Police Service Institute for Security and Law Enforcement Studies. A ceremony was held at Iskandar Khoshi to award certificates to 142 individuals who completed degree, associated degree and diploma level courses conducted by Maldives Police Services Institute for Security and Law Enforcement Studies, IELTS. The courses by IELTS are conducted in collaboration with Australia's Western University. Graduates included police officers as well as staff who work at implementing agencies and authorities. Speaking at the ceremony, the Police Commissioner Ahmad Arif said that those responsible of maintaining and upholding the security of the country should be physically and mentally well. He said that police officers should be well trained and educated, and added that the officers should also have higher education qualifications in diplomacy. Speaking as the chief guest of the ceremony, Minister of Home Affairs Azleen Ahmad said that police and staff of other implementing agencies should use what they have learned through these courses in order to conduct their work more responsibly in a manner which grants the respect and trust of the citizens. Meanwhile, Police Training Institute IELTS says that they are to introduce diploma in criminal investigation courses during this calendar year. They also added that opportunity will also be opened soon for police and other staff from implementing agencies to complete master's degree courses in the field of law enforcement. The value of goods exported in January 2017 increases by 137% compared to January 2016. Approximately 265 million rupiah worth of goods were exported in January 2016, whereas in January 2017 the figures was recorded at 633 million rupiah. According to Maldives Customs statistics, fish products are the main source of exports from the country, with 69% of the total exported to Thailand. The state received 226 million rupiah in revenue through import duty and other fees in January 2017, while 181 million rupiah was recorded for the same period last year. World Bank's Chief Executive Officer Kristalina Georgieva travelled in a local train in Mumbai to see the operations of the city's famed suburban rail system. Georgieva, on her final visit to India, travelled from Churchgate to Dadar, the busiest terminus on the suburban network, in a second-class ladies' compartment. She also interacted with commuters seeking feedback for improvement of the rail system, supported by the World Bank.
To get a sense as to what it is to be part of this incredible commute that happens every day, and to know how what we fund from the World Bank is helping people here to have a more enjoyable journey. And also to hear from people. I want to hear from people. What works? What doesn't work? What do we need to improve so we can actually do it?
Reportedly, Georgieva called for strengthening of security for women commuters by installing CCTV cameras, improving lighting and stepping up police deployment in the trains and at the stations. Mumbai's suburban railway system ferries 8 million commuters daily and is considered as a lifeline of the country. The network is severely overcrowded during peak hours when the number of passengers exceeds the network's carrying capacity by more than 4 times. Since 2002, the World Bank has supported the city's efforts to plan and develop its transport infrastructure to cater to the city's ever-growing needs. Georgieva is on a 2-day visit to India. According to a World Bank press release, Georgieva will hold discussions with Indian Foreign Minister Arun Jaitley, Reserve Bank of India Governor Urijit Patel and other key policy makers. She will also visit a school serving low-income households and children with special needs, also supported by the World Bank. India is the largest client of the World Bank. Between 2015 and 2016, the bank lent around $4.8 billion to India. Looking at news from international arena, Indian television reports say that at least 11 persons were killed and a dozen wounded as a private bus fell off a flyover and landed in a canal in Krishna district of southern Andhra Pradesh. The incident took place when the bus headed to Hyderabad from Bhubaneswar hit a road divider and fell between 2 flyovers. There were nearly 45 passengers on board. Reportedly, the accident took place as the bus driver was drowsy and lost control of the vehicle. The injured were rushed to nearby hospitals. Authorities fear that the death toll may rise as the front portion of the bus was left battered and several passengers are feared trapped inside. India has the world's deadliest roads and the result of a flood of untrained drivers, inadequate law enforcement, badly maintained highways and cars that fail modern crash tests. According to Indian government data, a life is lost every 3.7 minutes due to road accidents, adding to 1.2 million deaths a year globally. A major fire broke out in a building in Bura Bazar, a bulk trading center for everything from safety pins and shoes to grain and electronic gadgets in India's eastern Kolkata city. At least 30 fire tenders were rushed to the spot to douse the blaze in a multi-story building. The fire spread rapidly due to the presence of highly inflammable substances in the building, which housed several warehouses. Narrow lanes of Bura Bazar made it difficult for the fire tenders to reach the spot. Firemen climbed into adjacent buildings which had been evacuated to get the water hoses close. The blaze was doused after 9 hours. Fire Department Principal Director Gaur Ghosh said there had been no fatalities.
No news of casualty.
Okay. Sorry, what is the status of the
the 3 fire persons received minor injury during firefighting.
The reason behind the fire was yet to be ascertained, but local media reports said a short circuit in the building might have started the fire. The fire also affected traffic movement around Bura Bazar. Pura Bazaar is a maze of narrow, crowded lanes lined with soot-covered shops and warehouses with a tangled mess of electrical wires hanging from them. Fires are common, with many shops flouting civic rules and ignoring fire safety rules. Court officials say that a Bangladesh court handed down death sentence to 5 militants who were found guilty of killing a Japanese citizen. Kunio Hoshi was gunned down in October 2015 by masked men on a motorcycle on his way to visit a grass farm project in the northern districts of Rangpur. The killing came less than a week after an Italian aid worker had been killed in a similar fashion in Dhaka's diplomatic quarter. Public prosecutor Ratish Chandra Bamwik said the 5 had conspired to kill Hoshi to destabilize the government and the country. The court also acquitted one defendant as charges against him could not be proved. A senior Indian naval official says that the world's oldest serving warship, aircraft carrier Indian naval ship INS Virat, would be decommissioned after nearly 30 years of service on March 6th. Flag Officer Commanding-in-Chief of India's Western Naval Command, Vice Admiral Girish Luthra, said the Navy would organize a decommissioning ceremony and serving as well as retired naval staff associated with the warship would be invited.
Virat is going to be decommissioned on the 6th of March, and in the run-up to the decommissioning ceremony we have planned a few events starting from the 4th of March, where we will have personnel who have served on this ship in the past attending this ceremony. Many of them would have retired and will be coming from different parts of the country, sailors as well as officers.
He added that a contingent of personnel from the UK's Royal Navy would also be participating in the ceremony. Vice Admiral Luthra credited Navy personnel associated with the aircraft carrier for achieving its near 30 years serving feat.
When this ship was bought in the Indian Navy, the initial assessment was that we will run this ship for about 5 years. We got the ship at a very small price of about $65 million at that time, and the assessment was that we will use this ship for 5 years, at the most 10 years. But we have run this ship for 30 years. So therefore this is also a tribute to our people who have maintained this both on the ship as well as ashore, our dockyards.
He also said the ship could still perform most of the functions undertaken by the Navy. INS Virat was refitted in southern Kochi city for the last time in September and towed back to Mumbai on its final voyage in October last year. Before it was bought by India, the vessel was the flagship of UK's Royal Navy and famous for participating in the Falklands War. It was commissioned by the Indian Navy on May 12, 1987 after serving the Royal Navy for 27 years. This makes the total operational service of the aircraft carrier to be about 57 years. INS Virat holds the Guinness World Record for being the oldest serving warship. The aircraft carrier played important roles in Indian peacekeeping operations in Sri Lanka, Operation Jupiter in 1989 and 1999 Kargil conflict between India and Pakistan. Every day, children climb down flights of stone steps to fill containers with water from a well and carry them up again to their homes on the side of a hill in the Afghan capital. Finding water in arid Afghanistan is virtually always a challenge, but a drop in the groundwater level in Kabul caused by overuse and drought is making it even more difficult for residents, especially the poor. According to US government estimates, a modern Kabul was originally planned to support about 1 million people, but is now home to more than 4.6 million, with people fleeing violence and seeking jobs thronging into urban centers. Several unseasonably dry winters with little rain and a dusting of snow have exacerbated the problem. Heavy rain and snow this year has raised hopes that groundwater can be replenished at least for a while. According to the World Bank, since 2001, Kabul's sprawl has expanded by nearly 2,500 square kilometers, with some of the poorest arrivals perched in homes on rocky hills around the city, where wells are generally non-existent. People who can afford it usually dig a well rather than depending on the city's water system, but they are having to go even deeper to reach the residing water. The depth of a well varies across the city, but well digging companies says many residents are being forced to dig 10 to 20 meters deeper than in the past. In some cases, wells have to go down 150 meters or more to reach clean water, an operation which costs thousands of dollars and is a price that is out of reach for many. Despite the hefty price, people desperate for water have fueled the well digging business, which has little or no regulation, and now water is becoming even more scarce. Residents have been barred from digging wells within 100 meters of each other, but wells are now routinely dug 5 to 10 meters apart, sucking even more water from the aquifers. The Ministry of Energy and Water did not respond to requests for comments. Iraqi forces announced that a critical bridge was seized from IS militants in western Mosul following heavy fighting over the weekend. The operations began in the early hours of dawn. The battles were intense and the crackle of continuous gunfire resembled that of fireworks. IS fought back, yet Iraqi forces in turn pushed harder. Traces of empty shells were seen left behind army bulldozers as they cleared the way for tanks to pass along the dangerous roads into the city. Thousands of civilians are fleeing the city. A man explains that he was able to escape, but 5 of his family members remain trapped. Iraqi forces stress they are doing their best to protect civilians during the offensive, as IS is known for using human shields. Soldiers involved in the operation call on civilians to support them. The liberation of western Mosul is critical in defeating IS, yet the effect on civilians in the area is expected to be devastating, with nearly 750,000 civilians still trapped inside western Mosul. Aid agencies are warning the worst is yet to come. The kingdom's envoy to Indonesia says that a pact to combat terrorism will be the centerpiece of up to 10 agreements that will be signed when Saudi Arabia's king this week visits Indonesia, the world's largest Muslim-majority country. King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, who on Sunday kicked off a month-long Asian tour, lands in Indonesia on Wednesday with an entourage that local officials have said could number up to 1,500. Billed as a mega trip, it would be a Saudi king's first visit to Indonesia in nearly 5 decades. Ambassador Osama Muhammad Abdullah Al-Hushaibi told Reuters in an interview the king's visit considered to be the greatest visit to Indonesia because it contains a lot of delegation.
Visit we consider to be the greatest visit to Indonesia because it contains a lot of delegation. And a lot of delegation because there's a lot of MOUs to be signed in here.
Authorities in officially secular Indonesia have grown increasingly concerned after a series of attacks over the past year blamed on supporters of IS.
Yeah, security is one of the most important agreement to be signed. We know Indonesia, they suffer from bombing and terrorists here. Even Saudi, in there we have the same trouble with these people who have different ideology and they have against the life and the people.
Al-Shuhaibi said Saudi and Indonesian military officers are training in each other's country to counter IS. Saudi Arabia is aiming to open more Islamic schools in Indonesia, which will teach religion using the Arabic language and step up the number of scholarships for students, the envoy said. Underpinning that is a growing conservatism among Indonesians, which analysts say is partly the result of Saudi money being poured into the country over the past several decades to build mosques, schools and universities. Leicester City caretaker manager Craig Shakespeare oversees an impressive 3-1 win over Liverpool in his first game. The defending champions of the Premier League prevailed through Jamie Vardy's double and a Danny Drinkwater strike, and Shakespeare said the experience had whetted his appetite. Leicester City fans trudged towards the King Power Stadium for crucial home clash against Liverpool, still reeling from last week's sacking of title-winning manager Claudio Ranieri.
morals of the popular Italian who led the club to the most improbable of Premier League titles last May still adorn walls surrounding the ground, and many fans were sporting Ranieri face masks in the build-up to the kick-off. While some celebrated the 65-year-old's achievement with banners and chants, others mourned his passing. One fan was photographed driving a black hearse around the streets surrounding the stadium with flowers arranged in the windows spelling out RIP Football. Inside the stadium, a banner read Grazia Claudio, while a rendition of the opera classic Nessun Dorma was played over the loudspeakers, stirring memories of Italian tenor Andrea Bocelli singing on the day Leicester were presented with the title. The program notes penned by Leicester's Thai chairman offered his thoughts on the painful sacking that shocked English football last Thursday. He also paid tribute to Ranieri's warmth, charm and good humour. Emotions aside, the immediate priority for Leicester is to retain their top-flight status. After 5 consecutive defeats, they began Monday's game in the bottom 3 following results at the weekend. Ranieri's former assistant, 53-year-old Craig Shakespeare, was in charge on Monday and is among the candidates to replace Ranieri on a full-time basis.
And on a lighter note, Mexico's arid desert area has revealed the well-preserved, complete skeleton of a new marine reptile that is reportedly 93 million years old, revealing such details of tissue mass and scales previously unseen in other fossils. The reptile named the Mauriciosaurus fernandezi was discovered in 2011 by former Mayor Mauricio Fernandez in Vallecillo in northeastern Mexico, an area that was once a large ancient seaway. The fossilized remains of the ancient reptile reveal its soft skeletal tissue structure, forms its neck, flippers, torso and tail. It is estimated to have been 6 feet long and with a flipper span of nearly 4 feet. According to experts, such are the details on the fossil that soft tissue shown on the reptile indicates that it had a thin layer of skin with fatty tissues underneath. Mexico is a prime stamping ground for paleontologists in search of dinosaurs. Due to the region's diverse climatic factors such as erosion, the discovery of fossils and other dinosaur remains is commonplace in northern arid areas of the country. Fernando discovered the reptile and laments the state of laws protecting fossils in Mexico's desert areas. The asteroid that reportedly killed off the dinosaurs some 66 million years ago reportedly impacted the planet just off Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. Well, that's it for tonight. Stay tuned for more updates of recent current affairs stories here on Television Maldives. Thank you for joining us. I wish you a pleasant evening. Good night.